Hello, you're listening to the G.O.A.T Pod. This is a podcast where we discuss the best-selling albums of all time. Hosted by Jason Purrier, Stephen Schott, Daniel Brown, and me, Jared Slusher. Now let's go ahead and dive into today's episode.
Welcome back, everybody. It has been a crazy post-season break. We have gone through a few different holidays, and we are back, and we get to jump into the next segment of our podcast, the next season, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
Just for me personally, on such a high note, I love this album. I love this band. Many people will give them grief for sounding just like other bands. And you know what?
Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah. Man, welcome back, guys. How are we doing? How was everyone's holiday?
It's good.
It's rocking and rolling.
Yeah.
Rocking and rolling.
Many things have happened.
It's true.
It's exciting. Well, we will jump right in. One of the best parts about December is we all get to learn just how basic our listening is, and just how similar our listening is from the year before. Gentlemen, tell me, our icebreaker today is, what is your top artist and top song from your Spotify Wrapped? We'll start with Jarrett.
Yeah. So I'll start with artists because that kind of makes sense. We got number one, Green Day, the Beatles,
Nice.
Skillet, Michael Jackson, who has not been in my top 5 since the beginning of this Spotify Wrapped.
Yeah.
So I'd like to thank the G.O.A.T Pod for that. And then Linkin Park.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
And my top song. So here's the thing. I started going to a new church this past summer. Me and my wife did. And I've since joined the worship team. And
oh, don't mind me.
Did you just play worship music every
No.
But in the middle of joining the worship team, there's a whole lot of songs that I have to learn because I don't know them. And some I listen to a good bit to make sure I know how it goes. So my number one song was Love of God by Phil Wickham and Brandon Lake.
Heck yeah.
Well,
Nice.
I'm glad y'all are doing that because I've been
guess
trying
you're
to
getting
get
into
churches
heaven.
to do that. It's a good song.
And then it's followed by Good Luck Babe by Chapel Roan.
Nice.
So I would have preferred Love of God not to be my number one. Like, I'm fine with it being like in my rap,
Sure.
but I only listened to it apparently 19 times, and it made my number
wow.
one. So that I'm surprised by that. But yeah, so that's me.
Nice.
Steven, what about you?
well, if you know me, there's no surprise here, but my top artist was Radiohead.
Very nice.
way.
Very nice.
And
was your-
my top song was a Radiohead song called Jigsaw. And Spotify told me
Is that
I
a new
was no. It's pretty recent. No, it's not very recent. But Spotify said that I was the top 0.01% of listeners for that song. So
Wow.
Nice.
I'm gonna print, I have a plaque made for that. And
At the UPS store?
display that. Yep, at the UPS store. Yeah, not a lot of people know you can just make trophies. You don't even.
You can. You can.
It's true.
But
You could just make it.
something. The only thing that was surprising for me is that my third top artist was a group called 8-Bit Misfits, and they just do like 8-bit covers of pop songs. But
Very nice.
I just I would have that on while I'm studying, so it would just be on and on and on. It would keep playing, which is weird because I was expecting like some more embarrassing things because I do have embarrassing like I listen to Taylor Swift sometimes, the Hamilton soundtrack.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things to bury me with, but they haven't showed up.
Oh my gosh.
All right, and Jason.
So you prompted this, and I should have thought of this before. I should have prompted everybody on this, but you're like you can see in the Spotify Wrapped how similar you are to the last year. So I was like, I wonder how similar I am to the last year. I listened to less music this year. Last year I had 3,600 or 36,000 minutes. This year I only had 28.
Wow.
It was a heavy podcast year, and I don't know if the podcasts are listed in the minutes listened, but
I
maybe
didn't see
it
them
is.
in
I don't
mine.
know. And I only have 2 bands on my list this year that were on my list last year.
Okay.
Neither of them are the top one. So my top one this year, again, is probably the same thing with Jarrett. I did not go to a new church, but I've played for a lot of random worship events. And so I had to listen to whatever version of the songs that they were doing. So the Worship Initiative was my top.
Okay.
So I think it was a combination of listening to versions of songs that they've done, combined with they had a rendition of the Psalms album that another group had done. And they have a really cool song, which was my second most listened to song, Yahweh, Psalm 84, the remix.
All right.
Okay.
But my top song this year was from my second top artist, which kind of surprised me because I realized I listened to this guy a whole lot more than I think that I do. And it's Forrest Frank, and it's his version of Hallelujah, which really I have him on a bunch of just like background vibey playlists. It's kind of the same thing with the 8-bit. I'm not like focused listening, but he's in like a lot of like playlists that just kind of loop in the background. So
yeah, you don't listen to the Jeff Buckley Hallelujah? That's my go-to.
Not usually.
No,
I mean it pops up every
that's
once in a
disgraceful,
while.
but whatever.
Wow. But then my other top listens: City of Light Worship, the band Camino, who was my number one last year, and then Phil Wickham, again another one of I played 2 camps that use Phil Wickham songs that I'd not heard or not done before, so I listened to them a bunch. So yeah, that was my
very
round.
nice, very nice.
Hey Daniel,
How about you, Dan?
I have a question for you.
Yeah, what's up?
What was your top artist in Spotify Wrapped?
Oh man, well, so I realized how little I was listening to music in my Spotify Wrapped. I had 12,000 minutes listened in the whole year.
Pathetic.
And it is reflected that the most of those 12,000 minutes were spent on this podcast. That were spent listening to the albums from this podcast. My top 5 artists, one of them is really funny, and I'll explain in a second. So Reliant K, James Taylor, The Beatles, Celine Dion, Guns N' Roses are my top 5 artists. James Taylor is only because for a long time we've got Alexas throughout our house. And Mama B loves her some James Taylor. And for the last 4 years, my Spotify has been the one that is on our Alexa. And just recently she got it hooked up to Amazon Music. So now it no longer affects my Spotify Wrapped. So there's 3 songs in my top whatever from the year, in my top 2024 songs that are like James Taylor and James Taylor adjacent. But my top song, 3 of my top 5 songs are from Forget and Not Slow Down.
Nice.
That's also kind of intentional. 2 of my top 6, 3 of my top 7 are because of creative ministries that I ran, and I just had to play these songs over and over and over and over and over again. My top song by Jim Croce, Time in a Bottle.
Oh.
Played 25 times this year.
Okay.
Incredible.
And I don't know where that came from, really.
Speaking of not knowing where things came from, this was part of my Wrapped. This also could have been a surprising thing, but your music evolution. Did y'all see?
Yes.
Okay. Mine for February was Vampire Tavern CCM, because I listen to artists like Need to Breathe, Shane and Shane, and the Worship Initiative. Nice. And I ask, what the heck is Vampire Tavern?
If you have to ask, it's already too late.
Okay.
Well,
But thank you guys for sharing. You know, Spotify Wrapped is always so interesting to perfectly expose all of our listening habits. I can't wait to see where we are this time next year. If you guys have your own Spotify Wrapped experiences that are like totally predictable or totally not predictable, let us know.
And totally our
We'd
fault.
love to hear it. Yeah, totally our fault. You're welcome.
Yeah.
But we're gonna jump in. This album is called "The Battle at Garden's Gate" by Greta Van Fleet. It was released April 16th of 2021. The first single came out for it towards the end of 2020. That would be My Way Soon. We'll get more into that later. The members of the band starts off with the Kiska brothers. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Joshua and Jake. Joshua on vocals and Jake on guitar are twins. And Sam, their brother, is on bass guitar and keyboard, with Danny Wagner on the drums. Danny Wagner, the newest member of the band, having joined back in 2013, I believe. There was another gentleman by the name, I had it somewhere. This is unfortunate. I'll get to it later. The producer for this album,
Kyle Hauk.
Kyle Hauk, that's right. A family member of Kyle Hauk. Her name is Greta Van Fleet, and that is where the name of this band comes from.
Oh, great.
That is exactly where it comes from, and it is just fantastic.
Nice.
Now, the name Greg Kurstin should ring a bell, and if it doesn't ring a bell, then let me tell you why it should ring a bell. He has worked with tons and tons of super, super high achieving, high performing artists, such as Adele, Kelly Clarkson helping produce one of her top songs, Stronger, Sia producing Chandelier, Paul McCartney, Pink producing Blow Me One Last Kiss, and Foo Fighters earning himself 9 Grammys. Now that's just the tip of the iceberg for Mr. Kirsten. I said Curtis, Mr. Kirsten. I'm so sorry, Greg.
He's gonna write
9
getting
Grammys.
letters
now.
Yeah.
9 Grammys. That's crazy. But man, so yeah, Greta Van Fleet comes to us from Frankenmuth, Michigan. These guys mostly grew up together, and it was always Sam's dream to be in a band. He always wanted to do that. It was.
Is he older or younger than the twins?
I do not remember. Okay. But Josh and Jake are older than Sam, and it was Jake's dream. Now that I look back at the Wikipedia, all of you can find out this information. You just happen to be listening to our podcast.
Thank you.
One of the things that you will
research.
find about Greta Van Fleet, whenever you look them up, is that they are compared to some of the top rock artists, rock bands in history. They draw a lot of inspiration from them, and it's a sound that they love and have said that they love playing and will continue to play as long as they can. If they sound like Led Zeppelin, they do. If they sound like Rush, they do. This particular album, fun fact, hit number 1 on the charts in Belgium.
Ooh.
And
waffles
on the US Billboard top hard rock and top rock albums during its run in 2021.
Is this Belgium's top selling album, like Dirty Dancing is in Germany?
Oh, I don't know. I doubt it. I highly doubt it.
I don't think it's been out that long. It's not been out long enough for it to count.
Yeah. No, I highly doubt it. One more thing you guys will hear in the instrumentation, there are some string instruments, including a cello, viola, and 2 different violins. Those were played by, where is it? Jacob Braun on the cello, Alma Fernandez on the viola, Charlie Bisharat and Songa Lee on the violins.
Oh. And Charlie's a member of Shadowfax. Not to be confused with the horse from Lord of the Rings.
What?
Let's jump into our track listing. Steven, take it away.
Yeah. Also, I don't know if this has been said yet, but usually we're ranking the top selling albums, but this is Dan's choice this time.
That's right.
His
yeah,
favorite.
it's my favorite album of
Good
all
catch,
time.
Stephen.
Yeah.
We
So
should let the people know.
That's worth noting.
Yeah, that is important. Thank you, Stephen.
Yeah. Okay, so track listing for this album. We have Heat Above, which was a single. My Way Soon, also a single, and it topped Billboard mainstream rock chart.
Ooh.
Which maybe someone will elaborate on later, but I don't. Yeah. So, and then we have Broken Bells, also a single, Built by Nations, a single, Age of Machine, a single, Tears of Rain, Stardust Chords, Light My Love, Caravel. Did I say that right?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter. The Barbarians, Trip the Light Fantastic, and finally The Weight of Dreams. Mic drop.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes, this is my favorite album. A lot of different critics have called it uninspired, unaware, and derivative. And I don't care. It's my favorite album. And
that's really
does
brave
it sound
of
like other artists that I really like? Yeah. And
You
these
like
guys,
where it's derived from. If you like where it's derived from,
yeah,
the derivativeness works really well. So.
Yes, it
I
does.
mean, one of the derivations, one of the inspirations is our number one on the
Yeah.
album ranker. So
That's right. Yeah. Well, let's talk about some lyrics and themes. What are some lyrics that stood out to y'all? What are some themes? What is this album trying to tell us?
I think I can start at least with just some themes for a moment before we hop in too far. But I thought this was just neat. A lot of people, when listening, will see some like biblical references and stuff. But Kiska, which I don't know which one of these guys they're quoting, one of the brothers. This is an unhelpful article because it just quotes Kiska. I'm like, that's half of all of them. So
it's
that's like
75% of the band.
75% of the band said this apparently. But this is quoted from the American Songwriter article on this.
Ooh.
It says, Garden's Gate is everything that remains in the natural world and the conflict that threatens the natural world. There are biblical elements in this whole thing, but I think it really did start with just sort of having fascinations with mythology, and we built a sort of Vettergran Fleet universe, which in its way acted as a platform to be able to communicate more complex themes.
Nice.
So we see some references, the idea of like the garden and so forth, and different things that are biblical, but at least from their own words, this is not so much a commentary on that as much as the idea of like reality and religion and war and all of those things combined in their own real universe. So,
Stephen, what did you see in the lyrics? What did you see as a theme?
Well, first, I'm really happy that we listened to a lot of the music that we listened to previously for this album, because they were influenced by a lot of those same people. And particularly something that stuck out to me was the very grandiose, larger than life, like epic storytelling that was in like Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin, like where I think Led Zeppelin, they had like influences from Tolkien, and they really incorporated a lot of like adventure themes where there's a real arc to the narrative of the song, and you can definitely see that in the universe that they created with this album here. So yeah, that was something I quite enjoyed while listening through this here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you could definitely pick up on those themes. Like if you know Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, the classic rock stuff that they're inspired by, definitely a nod to those. One thing to get specific with My Way Soon, um, just I think we noted it earlier, but came out in 2020. And if we all
Yep.
know about 2020, we know ain't nobody having their own way, and we had no idea when it was going to happen.
Yeah.
And so I remember when it came out, listening to that. I think I listened to it a while after it came out. I listened to it like around Thanksgiving of 2020, and I was like, man, this will be great to like have some more individuality than where I have right now, because right now I'm just like with my family all the time, and I can't go anywhere else. And I love my family. I also love being able to not always have to be with my family,
Yeah.
and have some
That's fair.
space. And
I've packed my bags.
packed my bags,
I've got
and
my freedom.
I have freedom. Exactly. So
Mm-hmm.
I
Well,
remember that from him.
like My Way Soon, the chorus really, if I think back to where I was in 2020 when this came out, it is what I needed. The beginning of it, like if you just, there's some lyrics where like you read it and it's poetry, and there are some lyrics that you read it and it's like, okay, what were you on?
Yeah.
The beginning of this, like, I love this album. It's my favorite album. I love this song. It's one of my favorites. I've seen many people. There are so many people. Some are much younger people, and some are so old.
That's verse 1.
I'd have to agree with that statement.
Yeah.
Have you lived the
like,
life I have
relatability,
lived?
you got it. And then the next one, it's a bit more intense. It's a bit more crazy. I've seen many places. There are so many places. And where are the people going? Will they choose the road? Those last two lines give it a bit more depth. They kind of, you know, start asking the questions that everyone wants to know. Like, you know, if especially during COVID, like, oh my gosh, if you had freedom, where are you going? Can I go with you? Like, where are you? Are you going? Like, are you choosing it? Like, what are we doing? Feel like a dog with your owner saying, going for a walk. Are we going to the park? Like, where are we going to go?
Sonic.
Yeah. But that first verse, it's just like so unserious.
In defense of that first verse, I think sometimes like a blunt simplicity can work very well in the music, and it can make it seem sort of like almost like a fairy tale and kind of childlike.
Yeah.
Where you're not using super complex language and fancy book learning. You're just sort of stating an observation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Born of the USA is simplistic as well in its songwriting and storytelling. But yeah, it's one of the best-selling albums of all time, and I think we all kind of rated it in the middle of our list, so we all thought it was pretty good. But I don't think
we were biased because we were born in the USA. So.
Well, that's true too. But I also think, and this is true for me as someone who's written songs and is musical. Sometimes I can get lost in, okay, if I'm going to read lyrics, they better be like a certain way, or I have a certain expectation that they're going to flow a certain way, or convey a certain message, or even be more poetical. So then when you get the really simple stuff, it's like, come on, those are the words you decided to say. Like, that's what you're thinking about right now. You couldn't find anything more like life-giving or descriptive or whatever.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, like, it works for what it is. And I can't appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There are other songs that I think leave a bit more for interpretation, leave a bit more for, like, you can toss these lyrics onto your personal situation a bit easier. Tears of Rain and Light My Love come to mind for me. Tears of Rain, it's somber in its writing, it's somber in its theme. The second verse, drifting through the plains before us as it turns to dust before our eyes, pleading for a God to pour us just a little bit of rain from an empty sky. When I hear that, when I see that, it's immediately drawing me back to scripture. It's drawing me to the Israelites roaming through the desert for years, decades, as they're waiting to be welcomed into the promised land. They, have this helpless feeling.
Yeah.
And that's how I read that, how I see that. And then we jump to Light My Love, that first verse. Can you light my love? Flames glowing bright as the sun, deeper than oceans you run. Watch as our world has begun. Like, what a man, for me, what incredible start to a description of love. And the way that it can cause us to feel, the way that it can cause us to be seen, the way that we see it in somebody else, the way that we see their impact on our life.
Yeah.
There were moments, and I don't know if y'all have any like it, but there are some of those songs that I keep going back to because of the way that it's caused me to stop and just be like, wow, what is this saying?
Yeah, this is one definitely where it's good to look at the lyrics. I mean,
yeah,
we should all look at the lyrics for anything that we listen to know what we're listening to. But I know sometimes we can get in the habit of just listening to a song and not really honing in on what's being said or sung. But yeah, I definitely, especially with this album, get a deeper appreciation for what they're saying and the imagery being used. It's not just they're singing words and it's there, but there's metaphors and allegory and like I think it was Jason at the beginning saying like how they're building their world within this album. So
yeah,
you don't get that if you
That's
just
very
listen
cool.
to it at face value.
That's right. Any other comments or thoughts on the lyrics and themes? So, sliding into some of the musicality, some of the musical nidities that we get to see in this album, the first two things that I want to mention is there is in Age of Machine and The Weight of Dreams, there are guitar solos that different magazines had elected within their consumer base as the best guitar solos of 2021. The Weight of Dreams, the guitar solo in that, Total Guitar Magazine, their readers poll ranked it as far as 2021 or whenever they did this poll as the greatest guitar solo of the 21st century.
Wow.
And if you go and listen to it, The Weight of Dreams is long. The Weight of Dreams maybe is not the best song that I've listened to that is this long.
Oh yeah, it's 9 minutes.
It's 9 minutes, and roughly 3 of those minutes is a guitar solo.
That's insane.
Starting at about 4:55 off of the Spotify album, and it's good. Well, and then you've got Josh coming back through with the vocals as soon as he does that. Like, he is some of like peak performance of male vocal talent in current rock world, in my opinion. And so the two of them getting to battle, it's just awesome.
At the Garden's Gate.
That's facts.
Well, we'll jump right back to guitar solo, but you saying that I think leads real quickly just to mention his vocal range is insane.
Yeah.
I could go through and do the work to find the exact like range that they do in this album, but there are recorded notes of him as low as a C3 and as high as a C sharp 6. So we're rocking with a good 4-octave range.
The first few songs of this album, I thought it was a girl singing.
See, exactly. His range is incredible, and it's clear. It's not. There's a whine in his voice, but it's not like a scream. It's just the tone, the timbre of his voice is able to just stay so bright and so loud to such a high range without losing clarity, which is neat.
And I think that's part of the reason that they kind of sound like Zeppelin is because when you're in that octave, in that space, Like there's a very particular way that you can hit those notes in that way, and not a lot of people can do it. There's at least two of them. And it's this episode and it's the previous one, so of course they're going to sound similar. But yeah, I will say I've seen Greta Van Fleet live once in 2019, and it was an awesome experience. This album didn't exist yet, so none of these songs were there, but it was really awesome to see the band function both as brothers, the three of them, and their friend, but they also just work together in such a way that they feed off of each other. And so it's not just like you got a really good singer in an okay band or a great band and an okay singer. Like they're all working together and feeding into each other. It was really good.
My brother and I got to see them live on this tour when they were touring for the Battle at Gardens Gate. And they had a moment where they tossed Jake a line and gave him, I think they gave him like 8 minutes of this guitar solo. And the rest of the band walked off stage.
Oh man.
It reminds me of the beginning of School of Rock.
Yeah.
When Jack Black was getting carried away.
It was kind of like that. Like you're just, the first time you watch School of Rock, you're mesmerized by what's happening in front of you.
Yeah.
And watching.
The fact they kicked him out of the band after that.
I know, it's bonkers. Ego trips.
Still upset about that.
Ugh. Justice for Mr. Mooney. I don't remember.
Sure.
But
Mooney.
This ability of each of them to grab you with just talent.
Yeah.
With showmanship and their ability to perform live. Like it was phenomenal. We got to be almost like level with the stage within what's now called the Lenovo Center. And from the moment they started, like their fandom is rock fans.
For sure.
Their fandom is either the people that watched Led Zeppelin and Rush tour in their glory days, or sons of and daughters of those people. Like it's turning into this cult following, and they have just the talent and the ability to, I'm going to keep saying it, like just grab a hold of you.
Yeah.
One would say they're even
with their words, with their musicality. They just, man.
Yeah. One could say that they're Michigan's best export.
That's a stretch with the entire Ford and like General Motors industry being from Michigan.
I think we can all agree to disagree. But I think
No, I think we agree actually.
I think you're right that they're the best thing to come out of Frankenmuth, Michigan.
Yeah, because that's a made-up place.
It's not, but if you ever want to know what Frankenmuth is, look it up. I don't know.
I don't care enough to do that.
Buy the book. It looks like it's like 4 blocks. I don't know. The most popular nickname is Little Bavaria.
Oh, actually, yeah, that sounds familiar.
Because it's a place in Germany. That's why it sounds familiar.
But yeah, these musicians, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, they must have practiced a whole bunch.
Probably so.
At least once.
At least once. More thoughts? Any other highlights? Any other things that you guys would like to talk about or discuss?
I'll just make a point on, we kind of skipped around it, but Age of Machines guitar solo, we have listed down. It also won an award via Guitar World magazine for the best solo of 2021, and it's a really neat solo. The way he's able to do, I don't even know if it's a hammer on or if it's a way in which he's like doing like a muted strum, but about like halfway through he does these kind of like herky jerky kind of sounds on the guitar that are really neat. And a lot of times, like, people, it's almost a sign of somebody not knowing what they're doing, but when you do it like on purpose, you're like, oh, that's really cool. Like that you were able to like use that sound that a lot of people like will make on accident, and then you were like, hey, I'm gonna use this sound in such a way that like it fits with what's happening.
I so love the vocabulary that guitarists use to describe guitar sounds. You just said, as an adult man, you just said herky jerky.
Oh yeah, I did.
Is that Jack Links?
Yes, exactly. No, it's this is the stuff I see in sheets now. It's like big stick, and it's like it's like a big old thing of jerky. That's what it is.
If you're in middle school and you're listening to this, there's your joke.
You're welcome.
There's your joke.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
That's
if you're looking for the solo in Age of Machine, it starts about the 4-minute mark, and it's a brief one. It's about 25-30 seconds. It's a good one though, worth listening to for sure. Any other highlights that you guys have? Any other things that maybe if they're not your favorite or least favorite song that should be talked about? Oh, the intro to Stardust Chords is probably my favorite intro on the album.
Oh, yeah. I think that's sweet.
Oh, one thing we haven't talked about yet. Speaking of intros, the Barbarians intro is like, it's like, those old Yamaha electric keyboards, like before they really had any real technology for like MIDI keyboards or anything like that. And you set it to like bells or like the vocal ooh.
Yeah.
This is what this intro sounds like, and it's goofy.
Yeah, I wonder. I didn't see anything that said exactly, but it seems like almost like they took a sound recording and put it in reverse to almost make that sound.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what they were doing, but I will give. We're just gonna get a teaser. That one was my least favorite, literally just for that reason, because I'm like going through this whole song, and then I'm like, what is happening? What is going on? And
like it's so disappointing. If you cut out the first 22 seconds of it, it's sick.
Oh yeah, no, it's not a bad song, but it's like it ruined it for me, because the other thing is the next song, Trip the Light Fantastic, which I thought was just a song from Wonka, but sorry. They do a similar thing, like the intro is similar, but it doesn't have that sound, and it's so much better. So I'm just kind of like, man, why didn't you just use the same almost intro on both of them? It would have, I think it would have aided it a lot, but I would just go ahead and put out that one became my least favorite, because it was hard to pick like a least favorite. But because it started so the way that it did. I don't even know how to say it. Just go listen to it. The way that it does its things is not the way I would do things.
If you skip the first 22 seconds, it's a great song.
Yeah, I agree.
Some of us just like disco music. Slow down.
No. Okay. Steven or Jared, do y'all have any other comments on this album? Otherwise, we'll jump into our least faves, knowing what Jason's is now.
I'm good to jump.
Let's do it. Steven, are you good to jump?
Jump.
All right.
The Light Fantastic.
Well, I will say as well, I'm okay doubling up on this. The Barbarians was my least favorite.
Yeah.
Just because of that first 22 seconds. That's the only reason.
Like, just cut the 22 seconds and just start it right at the end of that. Like, it was the one downside of this album to me.
Yeah. Steven, what was your least favorite?
The Barbarians.
And Jarrett, what was your least favorite?
So here's the thing.
The Wall.
Hold on. Okay. No. You're allowed to have a different least favorite.
It is not the Barbarians.
Interesting.
And so here's the thing. I think this is one of those albums that that we're talking about that's over the hour mark. This is 63 minutes.
Yeah.
And I think one thing we've seen in just about all the albums that we get to that are about an hour or so is that at some point we lose interest.
Sure.
And it's hard to like stick with it. Like you got the Dangerous album, Falling Into You, Brother in Arms isn't an hour, but it might as well be.
It was
So
40 minutes longer than it needed to be.
So for this one, it's hard to like necessarily nitpick for me, just because like it is an hour, and some of it by the time we get to like halfway through, some of those bridges are just long, and so I'm gonna go with Age of Machine, just because it's 7 minutes, and I feel like it could have been cut down a little bit.
You're not going with the 9-minute one on the box that you're standing on at the moment?
No, because it's not a big box. But by the time we got to Age of Machine, and we're like halfway through, I'm like, okay, yeah, let's go to the next song. Nope, we got 3 more minutes. All right. But the guitar solo saves it. I just wish it were pushed sooner.
This is Jarrett's soapbox. Not like a box of soaps, but like one singular soap in a box.
Yeah, you know, like that one pack of Dove.
Okay.
I can stand on it. It's not very big, but I can stand on it.
Hotel bathroom soap.
It's a single box of Irish Spring.
It's a slippery soap.
Oh my gracious. Yes, it is, and you chose to stand on it. Well then, Jason, what's your favorite track?
Thank you so much, so that I can steal this early.
Yes,
it's got to be Stardust Chords. That song is like the chords. The chords are incredible. Like just all of it. The intro, the outro, the middle. It's just a vibe. Like it's the vibey. I feel like it's the biggest vibe of a song on here.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think through. No, I think it is. I think Stardust Chords, the vibe that it sets is not different than the rest of the album, but it's like substantially like, yeah, if I hop in, there's no mistaking it for any other parts. Where if you caught like a end of a solo, you'd be like, oh, this could have fit in a couple different songs. But like, just the entire vibe of Stardust Chords is like stands alone, and it's really good.
It's really good. I'm going to say mine so that it doesn't get taken. I have a suspicion that it would be one of y'all's. Tears of Rain was mine.
Okay.
The intro, I think, is one of my favorites on it. Like if it's not Stardust Chords, it's Tears of Rain. I do think I like Tears of Rain more than I like Stardust Chords for some of the lyrics and some of the vocals behind it. I do love Stardust Chords. It's quite good. But Tears of Rain is my favorite. Steven.
Yes.
What is your favorite song in this album?
Yes. Mine was Heat Above.
Very nice.
Just because it was such a great first impression for me to listen to Greta Van Fleet, because I had never listened to them before. And this song has such a awesome energy, and it was euphoria. It was like magic, and it just left a really great impression on me. And I especially like the part where it goes da 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 da. That part.
Yeah.
That was what cemented it.
Nope.
It's a completely different thing.
Can I ask? Being that you said you hadn't really listened to Greta before, was that song the one that you went, wait, people are making music like this today?
Yeah, it was actually. Yeah, I mean, I immediately like recognized the retro aspects of the music, but I liked it a lot still. So yeah,
nice.
That was probably one of the best ones they did live, and it was like thousands of people doing that exchange that you're talking about. Most of them on the note, but together, like you could just kind of experience. It was fantastic. As a humongous fan of this album, I appreciate that response. Thank you, Stephen.
You're welcome.
And Jarrett, do you have a favorite song? I
I
can't
do.
believe
I do
you
have a
chose
favorite.
Age
I do
of
have a
Machine. I still man. I
Man,
don't know whatever. What's your favorite?
Light My Love.
Oh, that's a good one. Okay,
Yeah.
you're back in.
You're back in good graces for the moment.
Yeah. It was between that and My Way Soon, because My Way Soon just gets me going. But like Light My Love, I love the lyrics and the feel of it. So
yeah,
Gucci.
It's a good one. Okay, so the way that this works, we've done this before with other favorite albums. We are not going to place this on our rank, but we will say about where we would put it. And we're going to add something else. Jarrett, would you like to describe to the listeners and the viewers what we are about to do in addition to where we would quote unquote place this on our ranks?
Yeah. So essentially what we're about to do is, as we said at the beginning of this podcast episode, we're in a new season of the podcast. We have now finished the 30 to 39 million sold section of the Wikipedia list best-selling albums of all time, and moving up to the top, the 40 million plus sold. So those 9 albums. And so in honor of that, each of us is going to have one album in our personal list on the album ranker that we get to move 2 spots, whether up, whether down, just one album. So that may change the album ranker tremendously, or it may do nothing. But in honor of that, that's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Find out after this break.
No. So Jason, if we were to put this on our rank, where would you place it?
I don't know. Let's see here. So are we saying where would you place it in our total rank or our individual ranks?
I would go individual here.
Okay.
Can we get
So
the
for
ranker on
Yeah,
the
I got you.
shared screen for me?
Yeah.
You got it?
So I don't have to look on a different screen.
I can do it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you get that up on there. I think for myself, it's somewhere in the middle here because it's just really hard to crack that top echelon over here. I think I'd probably it's hard. Somewhere in the mix of the Metallica to Supernatural range for me.
Yeah.
So I have a Supernatural, Let's Talk About Love, and Metallica. Somewhere in that kind of mix right in there. I think I would definitely put it above Bad, but I can't quite tell. Maybe just right above Bad, right below Metallica. Probably
so you're 6 to 8
at 9.
Yeah,
for you.
9. Yeah, it'd be 9. 9 of what are we at? It'd be 9 of 18 at that point.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So right in the middle. Yeah, I think that's kind of where I'd land. It's just hard to break past like Appetite for Destruction and stuff.
Sure.
For me at least. But on the other hand, do we have it up over here? Cool. I look over on this side now. I don't know. I don't have a ton. I feel like I need to switch. There's one I'm debating on. I think if I were to switch anything, and I'll put it out there. If y'all want to fight my intuitions on this, you can, because I'm not hard pressed on making this switch. But the switch I was gonna possibly do was flip-flopping Supernatural and Appetite for Destruction, but that was the only thing I was thinking of, and I'm not really sure if I want to. So y'all's opinions can make or break this one. What do y'all think?
Do you have in one sentence, do you have a reason why you would flip that?
Yeah.
Is it just gut?
I think it's just gut. There's nothing else that I would want to switch.
Okay.
Down this. Wait, no, never mind. I found it. I found it right now.
We haven't done Nevermind.
Switch it. I know exactly what I'm going to flip flop.
Okay. Tell us, Jason.
I'm going to just one rank flip flop Dangerous and Born in the USA.
Oh, snap.
Interesting.
Yep. No, I'm looking back at the bottom of my list and I was like, yep, that definitely needs to flip flop for me.
Okay. Dangerous and Born in the USA.
Yeah.
Flip flop Dangerous now to Jason's 11th. Born in the USA to his 12th. Okay, so Steven, what about you? Where would you put, quote unquote, put the Battle at Garden's Gate on your list?
I think that I would put it right below Appetite for Destruction, above Dangerous.
At your 9 as well.
Yeah, it would be somewhere in the slightly above middle. So
Nice.
it was very. I like the album quite a bit.
Yeah.
As far as stuff that I would move, or that I will move, I'm going to. I just had it. Let's see. Oh, I will be moving Dirty Dancing below Baby One More Time.
Ooh.
Interesting. Okay.
What's our let's make it happen. What's our reasonings?
Just because I feel like I treated Brittany, I didn't give her a fair assessments. I think my bias against pop music, influenced me too much. And I liked a lot of the songs on Baby One More Time, even if somebody else wrote them, even if they're super poppy, they're still catchy. And
well, somebody else wrote all the songs on Dirty Dancing, so that makes sense.
That's right.
Well, that's a different kind of thing.
My answer is pretty easy. The Battle at Guardians Gate would be my number 1 on this list, even given
that would make sense.
It's my favorite. It's my favorite. Given the opportunity to move, I'm so grateful for this little mechanic in our system, because I felt very strongly at the end of our Led Zeppelin episode that I placed it too low and have moved it from my number 4 to my number 2.
All right.
Yeah. That leaves Jarrett. Jarrett, where would you put Greta Van Fleet? And are you moving the album we're all thinking of?
This is a tense moment right now.
And in case you weren't thinking of it, we're thinking of The Wall. Just want to clarify this.
Because it is still Jarrett's bottom album. Below Baby... okay.
Yeah.
Where would you put Greta Van Fleet?
I'm going to have to agree with kind of the same placement. So I'm going to put I would put it between Appetite and Supernatural. So for me, that would be number 10.
Mm-hmm. How dare you?
It's a good album. I do enjoy it.
Yeah.
So now the moment everyone since episode 4 has been waiting for. I've gotten some flack for this being towards the bottom, and I've taken some time to listen and re-listen and taken a break and re-listen again. I am going to move Brothers in Arms up 2 spots between Jagged Little Pill and Dirty Dancing.
You're going to need to explain yourself.
You need to explain
I just
yourself.
Diarrhea straight. So, so like,
what?
We remember Drew.
I will.
Right?
I'll appreciate one thing.
Oh,
he's not a pushover, but
oh my gosh,
he's consistently terrible. We can all agree.
So Drew, when he was out here, we listened to both these albums, and he kind of opened my eyes to the fact that there is a lot of diversity in Brothers in Arms.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the things that gets us when we listen to albums for this podcast is that we can listen on repeat, and that kind of wears things down. So giving it, when we talk about it, like April, so that's,
gracious,
like a long time ago, listen to it every now and then. It's like this has some good vibes. Now, yeah, some of those vibes are really long, but I can jive with that a lot more than I can The Wall. So that's my reasoning.
My teeth fell out.
And when Drew was out here, I told him that's what I was thinking of doing. And so there you are, Drew. You're in on the secret now.
Drew, or as I call him, Judas.
Judas Priest?
Judas, no.
Yeah,
well,
so where does that
after
leave
all
us?
of these moves,
Et
wow,
tu, Brute.
that keeps Led Zeppelin 4 at number 1, Abbey Road at number 2, Bad at number 3, Adele's 21 at number 4, Metallica, the Black Album at number 5, number 6, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, number 7, Supernatural, number 8, Appetite for Destruction, number 9, Let's Talk About Love, number 10, The Wall, gracious, number 11, Born in the USA. I am seeing number 12 is Dangerous, 13 Jagged Little Pill. I'm so sorry, 13 Falling Into You, 14 Dirty Dancing, 15 Jagged Little Pill, and tied for last. ... Baby One More Time and Brothers in Arms.
All right.
So that is where we get to start season 2 of the G.O.A.T Pod. The albums that we have coming up are going to be just straight bangers. I'm fascinated to see how this ranking shakes out.
I'm excited.
We've got more Pink Floyd. We've got a Fleetwood Mac album coming up. But our next one I'm super excited about is Saturday Night Fever. Mostly the Bee Gees, but also some other artists. It is an 80s... Am I right? The 80s, right?
70s.
70s, thank you. It is
It's all the same.
Just 70s cult classic.
Mm.
And, all of this is going to lead to that 30th album that we talk about. I guess 31. No. What am I thinking? Never mind. Disregard. The last one that we'll talk about is Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Mm.
I think I'm going to be in anticipation for that.
Who?
Uh-huh.
I've not heard of this artist.
No, The Who's not on this list.
God dang it. I do know The Who.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
Michael
yeah.
Jackson character.
Uh-huh.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Well, Steven, I just got to ask, how do you feel right now?
I feel like my soul has been kicked around like a soccer ball and then thrown off of a building and
Thank you, Steven. Well, that concludes this episode of the G.O.A.T Pod. If you enjoyed this or didn't, feel free to let us know by emailing us at thegoatpodemail@gmail.com or DM us on Instagram at thegoat_pod. Thank you so much for listening, and until next time.